Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another season of All the Right Movies. Thanks for joining us. I see some of you are still piling in. Um, yeah, do you like? I've added a new AI theater. Hopefully, everybody enjoys that. I always like telling the story. I actually have that picture of myself, and the reason I'm kind of smirking is that's the time where I went to see. I'd watched Day by Day Part One on Amazon, and I went to see the Day by Day Part Two in the theater, and was literally the only human being in the theater. So just had my box of popcorn, a seat right in the middle, and I was feeling really good about myself. But hey, we're back. I'm glad to be here. This is the just fun stuff for me. Talking about sports movies and judging from some of the comments we get, I feel like I'm not alone there. Let's see. One quick announcement, because I'm gonna do my best to let you guys know what the next movie is, so you have your homework assignment for the next week. And I picked Happy Gilmore for two reasons. One, I feel like that's one that not too many people have to go in and rewatch. It's pretty rewatchable. I think everybody's got that locked up in their heads, and also because Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out, I guess, in about a month or so. I believe in July here coming up. So it just seemed right to lead off with Happy Gilmore to get us ready for Happy Gilmore 2. And I wanted to tell you guys, because sometimes it's kind of tough to find an older streaming sports movie, stuff from the 80s and 90s. And I've got the answer, which is probably going to be the answer for a lot of them if they're not streaming on, say, your Amazon, your Netflix, Hulu, or a Disney or whatever, is get Tubi, Tubi. The purple background, the yellow wording Tubi. They've just got a lot of the older stuff, and I found that when I got that, and it's free. Best of all, it's free. You have to put up with the occasional ads, but they don't bomb it too hard, so it's not that bad. It's just, hey, great, go take a leak, grab a drink, refresh a drink, whatever. But Tubi, I found 10 sports movies on Tubi that are on my top 50. So yeah, get Tubi. It's just got a lot of stuff where it's like, hey, I can never find this movie. It's the kind of place where I think now this is on Amazon. But before I'd go in, hey, Big Trouble in Little China. Whoever has that, welcome to Tubi. It's pretty hilarious, the selection they've got. But I'd say add that in, and it's probably going to come up more than once as the streaming option for something we couldn't normally find. So that's that. And let's get to Happy Gilmore. Let's check the comments real quick right out of the gate. In the challenge, it looks like the challenge to get logged in first to the comments after I post it on YouTube or whatever, that it's upcoming. Usually I do that the day before. Justin Rogge wins tonight. Fred Sacco's in second, and that's kind of weird. And we've got, here's a new person, got Polyjam, I believe, and show it, telling everybody go Big Red. So good for that. And anyway, oh, look at this. James Boardman is here and says, I rewatched Happy Gilmore today. It's not as funny as I thought it was. I grew up, damn it. He's not wrong. It's still as funny to me because I've fought off a lot of the maturity parts of life. So I still look at some of that silly shit and lose my mind. But I can see that. Yeah, it's probably not as funny. And they actually said it, we get into some trivia right away that after the movie came out, the Price is Right ratings rose significantly for college age viewers. So that was like the Happy Gilmore effect with Bob Barker in there. But here we go. Somebody else here. Nebraska Strong is in there with the Go Big Red. We never get tired of Go Big Red here. So anybody who wants to come in and say nothing but let us know you're here and give us a Go Big Red. So let's talk about this. This is like one of the many sports movies. Last year we ran into a few that just had, for lack of a better use of the King's English, just shit release dates. Happy Gilmore, February 16th, 1996. I think Friday Night Lights might have been one that had some January or February, just a dead release date, like that. So I'm seeing kind of I'm going to start looking for that, who's just got those crap winter, early spring release dates, because, the prime are summer, the May, June, July, or the November, the Christmas due dates. Hey, not a sports thing, but Jaws is celebrating its 50th anniversary this summer. Holy shit, I'm old. I mean, I was like 10 years old, 11 years old when I saw that in the theater. And it could be argued that was the first summer blockbuster. They released that in June, and back then, people don't remember this, but no one released their blockbusters in the summer. That's their logic was everybody's going on vacation and nobody wants to go to the theater, and by not trying it out with a popular movie for so long, that went on for a lot of years, and then Jaws blew up, and that was 76, and then then 77, here came Star Wars, and you can bet that was a summer release, and that blew up, and then we were off and running. I believe Rocky was actually a winter release. Rocky was still going for the Christmas crowd in 76. But anyway, Jaws fans out there, I actually watched it again yesterday, like kind of in the background. I was doing some stuff, but didn't get stuff done because Jaws was on, and I just had to keep coming back for my favorite scenes. Let's see. What else we got here? Tiger Shark Diver is in. James Boardman does go, though. I guess the price was right, bitch. And there you go, little Jaws. It is sports related if you can swim faster than everyone at the beach. No shit, even in the water, that's like the grizzly bear chasing you. It's like, I don't have to outrun the bear, I just have to outrun you. So, yeah, good point there. Now I've got Jaws going in my head, and it's throwing me off. So let's just get into some of the stuff I've written down. Happy Gilmore, 1996 was a pretty wild movie year. Happy Gilmore was number 38 on the box office returns list. It made, and number 38, it made 38,800,000 something, so close to 39 million. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you watch it, if you kind of take a look at the background, you realize they're not spending a whole lot probably on huge name actors' salaries. They look like they're playing some of the golf, different tournaments at the same course. I think they filmed it up in Vancouver while trying to pretend they were in San Francisco and other places. In his first tournament, when it looks like they're like in a flatland somewhere, but there's a couple shots where you can see it's all of a sudden it's gray, and there's the mountains in the background from the Pro-Am tournament with Bob Barker. And yeah, they didn't give a shit. So it only cost $12 million, so not nice little profit. The top five that year, Independence Day was number one, made $306 million, and then after that were Twister, the first Mission Impossible, The Rock, and then The Nutty Professor, and those were all blockbusters. So it was a good summer movie, but it was a good year for the big summer movies. But Happy Gilmore went in there first, and I dare say it's one of those that's endured over the decades. It is a rewatchable. That's one of the categories I'll rate it on, and surprise, it's going to rate pretty high in rewatchability. Just for fun, I threw up my Adam Sandler Mount Rushmore, my top 4 Adam Sandler movies. A lot to pick from. Throw yours in there because I'm not expecting anybody to agree, and I don't think there's so many and enjoyable ones that I don't think we're going to fight over it. And I didn't put. There was one of his sports movies I don't think that made it, because 3 come to mind, and I can't remember what the other one was. But anyway, the top 4 for me, I think Happy Gilmore is it's a slight number 2 for me. The Waterboy is my favorite, just football related, and then my other 2 are Big Daddy and Funny People with Seth Rogen. And the line I remember in Funny People is, there he is like a rich movie star and pining for a long lost love that he did wrong and cheated on, and Seth Rogen's letting him have it. It's like, she's so sweet, and how could you do that, and all that. And being a movie star, I often think this is probably the issue for a lot of people, like, how dare they behave like that. But Sandler asked him, he's like, well, that's easy for you to say. You don't have half the world wanting to fuck you. And that really kind of stuck. It's like, it doesn't make it right, I guess, but it's a lot tougher for them. That's, I'm not being approached daily by the hottest women in the world if I'm out anywhere like these people are. So like that, I kind of like, Oh yeah, it's like I think you landed a good body blow back there, Adam, in that little get go. But I enjoyed funny people. And like I said, give me your top four in the comments, and and you can explain or anything if you want, because I'd be curious about that. Roger Ebert. Well, first let's give you the Rotten Tomatoes. The Rotten Tomatoes, 63%. So it was that's the if you're over 60% positive reviews, that's a thumbs up. And of course, the audience 85%. The audience has loved it. Roger Ebert, 1.5 stars. And he's my favorite movie reviewer of all time. But I'll be the first to admit that his comedy reviews were problematic. He was going into comedies, which, sorry, just needs to make you laugh. It doesn't have to have a deep, rich plot. It can have silly plot lines. You don't need holes in there. And one funny thing is, there are only two actual pro golfers that showed up in the movie, Lee Trevino and Mark Lai. And apparently Mark Lai talked him, go, hey, make it a little more realistic, is they were going to have Happy Gilmore just bombing these par four holes in one, like multiple ones in a tournament. And Mark Lai goes, just have him do one. He's like, I get it's a silly movie, but it won't make he said that multiple holes in one would probably make people roll their eyes more than get laughs. And he talked them out of that, and out of all the holes in one. And so I thought that was interesting. So anyway, here's the quote. It's the lead-off two sentences from the Ebert review. He's not wrong. He goes, Happy Gilmore is about a violent sociopath. Since it's about golf, though, that makes it a comedy. Yeah, that's not inaccurate. But to me, when I hear the lead line, Happy Gilmore is about a sociopath, and it's a comedy. For me, that's a plus. Maybe I'm deranged too, but yeah, it is what it is. So anyway, the overall the reviewers liked it. Roger Ebert did not, but Roger Ebert tended to be pretty hard on comedies. Like Porky's is one of the dumbest, silliest comedies ever. But I admit I laughed my ass through it. You go back now, and today, the peering through the showers at the naked girls definitely doesn't ring the same as in the 80s. So, but other than that, I still thought there was some funny crap in there, and I think he gave that 1 star. And it's like, it didn't rake it home at the box office because it wasn't funny. And sometimes you just got to go, is this funny? So let's see. That's kind of our. And actually, I always put down, if I have somebody on as a guest host, and I'm soloing this when I'm still working on those for the rest of the year. I always ask like the guest too, hey, you're trying to sell this to the studio. You got like 2 or 3 sentences. Go. That's not a bad idea. I just go in there. It's about this violent sociopath hockey player who has to become a pro golfer to save his grandmother's house. He can hit 400 yards. And at that point, they're probably just looking at each other. The producers are like, okay, no. And then he finishes, and we've got Adam Sandler. And then the studio, Adam Sandler, got it. So yeah, that just would have been the perfect way to describe the movie. I think Ebert's scathing review. Just lead with that, finish with Adam Sandler, and here's your money. Go make it. Let's see. So let's check the comments again, because we're gonna jump to our favorite scenes in the movie and then pick the best one. Let's see. James Boardman said he'd go with Happy, the Waterboy, Big Daddy, and then switch out funny people for Anger Management. I haven't seen Anger Management. I've heard good things, so that doesn't surprise me that somebody came in there. Oh, here we go. Poor John. Is this describing Happy Gilmore or John Johnston, our fearless leader with the psychopath aspect? I can't just pin this on John. We don't have a shortage of psychopaths on the sea and masthead there. We've got some goofy people, and I don't really count myself among the sane ones. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, and here we go. Fred, Porky still rules. Have you seen this prick? That is one of the funniest scenes in movie history. If you don't know the one I'm talking about, that's the one where was it Miss Ballbreaker has, oh, I can't remember exactly. Well, that was the peering in the shower scene, and she catches him, grabs him by the donger through the peephole, and when he sticks it in there, they run out. She comes in, and then she is trying to tell the principal that they've got to, that we've got to find out who this is, and then the coaches, the three coaches, just start losing their minds, trying not to laugh. And the youngest one suggests, I think, they bring in a sketch artist, put it up on the walls. Have you seen this prick? And it is it's one of the hardest times I think I laughed watching a movie, that whole scene. So thanks for bringing that up, Fred. There's so much of what Fred will put in the comments where like I'm not putting that on my screen. That's a winner. Let's see. Yeah, well, here's the thing. He says that this is interesting what Fred brings up. Back then, they would have greenlit a movie with Adam Sandler in it, even if it was just him punching children for 90 minutes. We weren't quite there yet. 96, I think this was like his second or third movie, and one of the things I got to start crossing these off as I bring them up, but one of the little pieces of trivia is production began on Happy Gilmore shortly after he was fired from Saturday Night Live. So apparently Saturday Night Live didn't think they were hanging on to, a future like blockbuster guy. And this really wasn't a blockbuster, but interesting thing though, that we weren't quite where he gets everything greenlit. And, like I said, $12 million budget, even then that wasn't a whole lot, but they were willing to, I think they had a good feel for the fact that he could come in and easily make their money back just being Adam Sandler, and they were seeing that maybe Saturday Night Live made a mistake, or maybe he was just knew he was on his way out, so he was popping off a little and got himself fired. Who knows? And yeah, oh yeah, here we go, starting to go with favorite scenes. Yeah, meet you at the ninth hole at 9 p.m. We'll talk about that. Oh yes, and because every week is I Hate Iowa week, all Iowa cheerleaders look like Miss Ballbreaker, but not as hot. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, and Fred said, I don't know if I'd said it, but Tiger Shark Divers here. And yeah, the picture of President Eisenhower smiling at the end of the Porky scene, put it over the top. So anyway, let's get down to, I pulled out about 9 scenes. We won't recreate every one of them here for you, but the first scene, and then I looked at, a lot of time I have trouble picking my favorite scene. I didn't have any trouble whatsoever in this one. I think a lot of people are going to feel the same way. And if not, it's not the first time I have the minority opinion. But the first part, and it's not that long, but it's the tryout. When he's just like wiping out, he crushes the puck, but other than running guys into the boards and falling down, there's not much skill there. I love it when he just like falls on his ass once, and the coach goes, not a very strong skater with a straight face. And then when he doesn't get picked, Sandler goes up and is like, "Hey, you didn't call my name." "Oh, I didn't? No." It's like, "Oh, well, good luck next year." Ha ha ha. And the sociopath proceeds to go beat the living shit out of the coach. I mean, this guy, this is one of those things where real life, he's in jail for good by this point. And then you find out that grandma's, losing all her stuff, losing the house, owes the IRS $270,000. So then we take her to the old folks' home, and we meet Ben Stiller. Well, first you have like the old woman jump on the hood of their car and beg him to start taking her out of there. It was like both funny and kind of disturbing. But then she goes up. Ben Stiller's the orderly. Sandler tries to bribe her with some pretty petty cash, and Ben Stiller just says, "Nope, I'm going to take care of that wonderful grandma for you for free." She gets out of there, and then she barks a little order. "Oh, could you get me some warm milk? It helps me go to bed." And Ben Stiller goes, "Oh, how about a warm glass of shut the hell up?" And that would just kill me. And here's the thing. They say there's a scene like that wasn't in the movie where he throws, like later in the movie, Sandler finds out about the mistreatment, throws him out the window, and they said you can see that sometime in some cuts it goes out with it. And I guess I always thought that was in there because I remember vividly Stiller getting chucked out the window. So I don't know. Has everybody seen that? Who knows? And I see someone here that, and Fred might be able to say something here. He says, I haven't seen Happy Gilmore ever since I saw it in the theater when it came out. This will be a good refresher. And so, yeah, see if you saw it in the theater, you probably didn't see, Stiller get chucked. But anyway, let's see what else we got here. Oh, yeah. Might as well get this out here. I remember the very first show we did, I think we did, not The Replacements, but Necessary Roughness. And right out of the gate, we had the Kathy Ireland in the shorts comment. And so James Boardman, my favorite scenes involve Julie Bowen wearing lingerie in the happy place. And boy, what a happy place. Little trivia on Julie Bowen I dug up, and her happy place scenes. If you remember, you had the cowboy dwarf running around on his hobby horse. And she said there was a cut scene where she made out with the cowboy dwarf. I don't know. Just a little bit of information for some of you who might be into that sort of thing. Anyway, let's see. So that's the kind of in the old folks' home. Then he goes back to the house. This is where the two guys are out, like, for whatever reason, you got two lunatics hitting golf balls out of a front yard down a street. So to me, that's just one of those, you didn't even really pay attention to that because they went right to, betting Happy. He could, that he couldn't hit one, and he's like, I'm not golfing. And then I think they started offering him cash. And so then but no one knows that these psychopaths are just sitting there ripping golf balls on a residential street. But anyway, Happy, takes out a window, this house at the end, at the end of the block facing up the street, takes out a window. The husband's down on the porch yelling at him, takes him out with the second dare, and then they dare him one more time, and the wife's upstairs, and he bonks her in the head, and she falls out like the attic window and bounces on the roof of the porch and then down to the ground. So, good times. That's why it's a comedy. But her getting bonked in the head and just making that little noise always got me going too. But anyway, there you go. Now he can hit a golf ball 400 yards. Okay, so then we move into the next scene where he meets Chubbs, and Chubbs sees him hitting at this one of those those layered driving ranges with 2 or 3 stories, and some people are being nice to him about, hey, you should play in the Waterbury Open, and he just is rude to them and storms off. And then you get to the batting cage where Happy is sitting there, goes into a batting cage with a golf course right behind it. And he puts the money in and stands in there and just starts getting hit in the chest and the head, and I felt good. And Chubbs walks up and is like, "What the?" It's so funny because he's disgusted by it. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I got to toughen up for next season's tryouts." And it's like, instead of skating lessons, I guess he's going to do that. And the line that got me from Chubbs was when he's like, "Knock that off, Happy! You're making me sick." I don't know, just something about "you're making me sick" just killed me, just cracked me up. But so you got Chubbs, and then he tells the alligator story, and he shows him the wooden hand. Whereas Happy's like, "Oh my God!" Yeah, he's like, "I couldn't play it. They wouldn't let me play on the tour." And he's like, "Why? Because you're black?" And he's like, "Hell no, because of this." And oh my God! And he tells the story of the alligator that bit the hand off. And then that he's following him out, and Happy's pulling soda cans out of the trash and hitting slap shots at him, and then he sticks his hand in the way. He belts the hand off. Oh, hey, it's held together. Then it gets run over by a truck. So here we go, and he agrees to try and coach him, and let's go to the Waterbury Open. And that's where you first meet Shooter McGavin just being a dick to everybody. There was the one time when he hits one of the subtle Shooter McGavin, and we're going to talk a lot about Christopher McDonald and just what an iconic villain performance this was. It's arguably the best ever. It's in the discussion. Let's put it this way. I put him right up there with Darth Vader and the 2 hillbillies from the Love Scene and Deliverance and guys like that. Shooter's right there. But he's hit his 420-yard drive on the green, and Julie Bowen just kind of grabs the coat of his arm while he's sitting there and is talking, and he just keeps looking down, like, at her hand on his arm, like it just has this, you're not allowed to touch me look on his face. And just he was always, there's the outrageously dickish things he does, and then there's just the subtle, he's never not being a douche at like every moment on screen, lines or no lines or the smaller lines, and it's just wonderful. And so the Waterbury Open, so he gets in the tournament. Let's see, what do we have here? I don't even know what I wrote there. Huh. And I forget what it was. But anyway, he whiffs the first drive, or whiffs his first drive, throws that fit, and then they just they're trying to bleep him out, and it's the funniest bleeped out thing ever, because he and at one point, beep 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 beep, and it's just this meltdown. The tour president is just appalled. And then they show, and this is interesting, they show Lee Trevino, and he's just like, and just turns around, walks away. There's a little real life to that. Lee Trevino had said later, after he saw the movie, he said if he had actually read the script and seen all the cursing in the script, that he wouldn't have agreed to do it. He wouldn't have been in the movie. So, hey, Dennis Dugan, the producers, good job not showing Lee Trevino the script, because he was pretty funny in there, just being disgusted by the whole thing. And good call. So then he gets to the green, takes about 30 putts, and the one guy is just back there going pathetic, and it's about time. And then he's like, it is about time, and then proceeds to pull the shirt over the guy's head like a hockey fight, beat the shit out of him, and knock him into a bunker. Just wonderful stuff. And let's see. Oh, then he gets his hole in one, and then when he's doing it's when he's doing the big celebration after the hole in one, and Shooter's watching it with Julie Bowen, and just goes, "Oh, he's going to be on the tour, huh? That's super. Yeah, that's really cute." I just love the way he says that's super. And we kind of jump from there. The next thing I picked out was the AT&T Invitational, and it's, let's see, 9 p.m. on the green. And then he goes to his caddy, and I've got a list. These all can't be right, and I didn't even put all of them down, but apparently they've just made this massive list of people who were considered for the role, auditioned for the role, or turned down the role. And I've never seen probably a movie that just has this many people connected to these roles, like some of these huge names. And I think, oh, they were considered. I'm like, yeah, you considered you wanted them, but there was no way in hell you were getting them in this movie at the time. You had guys that there's no way in hell they're playing second fiddle to Adam Sandler. That we're not at that position yet when we get to some of these names. But anyway, he ended up with one of his buddies who was always in his movies, and I can't remember their names. But, it was like the quarterback from The Waterboy, the linebacker from The Waterboy, especially those two. They were in just about everything. I think they played the gay couple in Big Daddy. And the one with the beard is the linebacker. And, the things he's doing, like marking the ball with a toaster cracker or something, and then picking it up off the ground and eating it. But anyway, I have the AT&T. Kevin Nealon's his playing partner, and he just acts like this super, super positive, good vibes guy with all this advice for him. And I think Happy walks away from him going psycho, and then after he has a meltdown, Kevin Nealon goes, "Whoa, psycho!" and so he was pretty fun in there, because he's not really going for laughs there. He's out there just playing a weirdo. Then there's the meltdown. There's when you have the Lee Trevino meltdown, is in the AT&T Invitational, and who the hell is that? And then he does the big green dance. And another great Shooter moment in the AT&T Open is when you have Shooters getting ready to chip it, and the guy's like, here, take the 5-iron for this. He's like, no, why don't you give me that wedge? And chips it on next to the hole, or chipped it in probably, and then just turns around and he goes, 5-iron, huh? Yeah, you're fired. Just cans the guy on the spot. And then he had his, and then it was, I always thought it was Chubbs, but it was Kevin Nealon. This is what I found kind of going through it again today. It was Kevin Nealon who gave him the ball wants on the putting. The ball wants to go home, send it home, and he knocks it up just short, and then just proceeds to get on his knees and curse the ball out. And, you were supposed to go home, damn it! And freaks out on the golf ball. And so then they're getting ready. They're trying to kick him off the tour. The guy wants him gone. Julie Bowen talks, and I think that's Dennis Dugan playing the tour president, the director, and like one of the producers, I believe. But yeah, he wants to kick him off, and she's like, "But he's very popular. Give me a chance." So we're gonna do that. And then you also have the wonderful. Let me see if I can find this quote here. It's one of my favorite. Yes, they're in the bar, and oh yeah, and you have him, say like, "Well, I'm going to kick your ass." It's like, "Well, I'll kick your ass," and Happy breaks the bottle, and he's like, "No, I meant on the golf course." And then Julie Bowen walks up and goes, "Hey, what's going on here?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just looking for the other half of this bottle." But anyway, Shooter storms off and goes, "Just stay out of my way, or you'll pay. Listen to what I say." And Happy comes back with, "Hey, why don't I just eat some hay, make things out of clay, lay by the bay? I just may. What do you say?" That is just stupid funny. That might be one of the things James Boardman watches now and doesn't. It's not as funny as I remembered, because that is so fucking stupid, but it's just so goofy and hilarious. And that made me wonder, was that something like that Sandler kind of came up with on the spot with McDonald? Let's see. Let's look at some comments here before we go through the last few scenes. Where are we at? I got to roll back up because people are popping in. Okay, let's see here. Sure. There's a R.I.P. Chubbs. Somewhere in there, Chubbs dies. goes out the window. I think wasn't it when Happy brought him the dead alligator head or whatever, and it was the one missing the eye that took Chubbs' hand. And I think he freaked out and went out the window. Let's see. Here we go. Because we are a college football loving network website, whatever you want to call us. Cowboy Dwarf on a hobby horse. Mac Brown, yeah, riding a hobby horse going like this. Fucker. She could have made out with Chubbs, but she would have got some splinters. Well, James, if she's in like severe splinter danger, I think they're a little beyond making out, and let's just leave it at that. Fred Boardman, there is no tomorrow. Whoops, wrong flick. I got that one. Let's see. Yeah, you know what? Good point. I didn't think about this, James. Kevin Nealon was trying too hard to be a Ty Webb character. He was doing some of the Ty Webb vibes, because Caddyshack was what, mid '80s, late '80s. But it was ahead of it. And then Fred says, that was kind of the vibe, and he continued to play the positive and or high guy years later. Interesting. I like that. I'd never stopped to think about the Chevy Chase comparisons there. Nice. Okay, well, I put down for scene 6 montages, and we're going to go ahead and rank the montages right now, because the montages were insane in this, and I like to rank a movie's montages if they got them, especially a sports movie. And this is just montage after montage. Montages during the golf tournaments, montages for the happy place. So I mean, the montage game was aces on this show. So we're just going to give you, or maybe we should go through our 1 to 5 or whatever. So Osborne's a 5, and that's what we're giving. That's what we're giving the Happy Gilmore montage game. 5 stars, Osborne. And just to remind everybody, we go down to Devaney at 4. Hey, where'd my 3 go? There's my 3. Bo at 3. Frankie at 2. And Riley at 0, I guess. We'll call it 1. If I had to do it, I'd probably put Frost in at 1. But yeah, Riley'd be the 0. And I don't know that anything ever really gets a 0. So I just like to put Mike Riley up there every now and then and call it a 0, because that's how I ranked him as a coach. Yes, but he's nice. Anyway, go back over here. Oh, Let me get the picture off of there. Goodbye, Mike Riley. And anyway, so great montage game. There's your 5-star Tom Osborne ranking. And that brings us to scene 7. And let's see, I might have. Did I get a scene 7? No, you know what? I was finding all these great Bob Barker gifts, and they were all too large to load. And then it was getting close to start time, and I wanted to make sure everything was running smoothly. So I kind of gave up. So damn it. But we'll have a few others there. And I have this. Oh God, little Shooter McGavin's pieces I shit for breakfast. That one always cracked me up. I've seen where you can get like the T-shirt with the cereal box on it, or a golf towel with that on it. We've got the big bar scramble coming up here in a few weeks, so might have to get the Shooter McGavin towel. You know, that because that's the kind of thing that'll just last a lifetime for you. But anyway, next up is the Pro-Am, which is very much, I think, I don't know where they were trying to say that was. Maybe that was the one they were trying to pretend was San Francisco, but was in, obviously around the mountains in Vancouver. But baby, that is the Bob Barker, the Bob Barker fight and the Joe Flaherty, you suck, jackass. And just with both of those going on, because it's the you suck jackass that's getting Happy off his game. You've got Bob Barker fighting it out with Happy. And interesting, Bob Barker, let me just tell you about this scene. Here's some good Bob Barker trivia. He agreed, he wasn't going to do the movie at first. Apparently, changed his mind after talking to Sandler, agreed to do it, but he insisted on winning the fight. He says, look, he's like, this is ridiculous. He took something called Tang Soo Do from Chuck Norris and his brother for years. So this is, an accomplished, at least studied martial arts under Chuck Norris for, decades. And he said, he's like, I've boxed, I've done this. If I'm doing this, he's like, I'm winning that damn fight. They were like, absolutely. I guess they very little used a stunt double. He wasn't worried. The only thing he was worried about was when they were filming it. Obviously, it's like chilly, rainy place. So he was like, at his age, he was worried about getting pneumonia. Had no problem doing the stunt fighting and falling down and rolling around in the grass. But he was always just so chilled that they was kind of worried about catching pneumonia or the flu or something. But yeah, no stunt doubles, insisted on winning the fight, which I just think is hilarious. And they loved it. And the favorite line of the movie for me is Sandler going, after knocking him down, knocking him out for a few seconds, the price is wrong, bitch. And then he came back, he came back and he goes, I think you've had enough. And then kicks him in the face and knocks him out cold. And he goes, now you have. Stops, pauses, turns, bitch. So that's a wonderful scene. And then you have kind of the in between that and the tour championship. You have the hilarious meeting with Happy, Shooter, Dennis Dugan, the tour president, and just some of the sass. And we'll probably get into it in the best lines of the movie. But they're just chopping at each other. Then they're auctioning off the house, auctioning off Grandma's house, and Shooter buys it. They make their bet. If Happy wins, he gets the house back from Shooter. But if Shooter wins, Happy has to quit the tour, and that's where you got the line. What is it? Just a moment, because I knew this one was right near the top here. Yeah, you're in big trouble though, pal. I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast. You eat pieces of shit for breakfast, and I think it's his best line of the movie. Just the one word where he's like, no. And he just has nothing. He opens and closes his mouth a couple of times and then just storms off. I think that's just the finest delivered line in the movie. Just that, no, he's just got nothing and plays it up. God, yeah, hats off once again to you, Shooter McGavin. And then we're off to the tour championship. They have, Happy learned to putt on the first hole. So whoops, and then then you got a long montage there where Happy's hanging with him, and then he calls on Joe Flaherty again to run him over with a car. It's a comedy. I get it. And some of my favorite ludicrous things, even in a comedy, I like to point out, like the guys playing golf, out of a yard, hitting down the street. Nobody sees a Volkswagen gets out into the middle of the course, and no one sees it until Julie Bowen yells when it's like 5 feet away, "Oh no, Happy!" It's like that car isn't getting anywhere near, and he's not going. More importantly, he's not going in there with no warning. So I just thought that was a funny part. But yeah, Shooter calls him Flaherty, and that recalls like the line where Flaherty desperately wanted to go to Sizzler, his treat, and Shooter's just like, "God, no, get away from me." So he calls him Flaherty. He's injured, screwed it up. Nice little side throwaway line in there where the doctor's like, "Yeah, you're going to be all right. Just need to stay off your feet for a few days." "No, I've got to go play in this tournament right now." And the doctor, like under breath, I'm like, "Yeah, what do I know? I'm just a doctor." So he's getting beat. And then, whoops, they bring in Grandma. He goes back to the happy place. Carl Weathers, who has a nice voice, starts singing "We've Only Just Begun." It's like, "We've only just begun to live." And it's like, damn, Carl Weathers, you got a voice on you. I was actually a little impressed rewatching that. And then here's montage number 2, the comeback montage where, Shooter's hanging in there. It's not like Shooter's falling apart, but here comes Happy. And then that final hole where, again, just the ridiculousness of all of it. And at least they're consistent with it. There's no way on God's green earth that a tour official or tournament officials making you hit the ball off a fan's foot. First of all, I don't think the fan's going to stand there. That foot's moving. But even if somebody let it roll up on their foot, the tour official's not going to let you hit it off that foot, and they're not going to make you hit it through the tower that just fell because Joe Flaherty ran into it with the car earlier. And so glad they didn't, because that made just for some of the most fun in the movie there, because I think that's where, which line, I can't remember that. It's one of the other Richard Keel lines, and you get to see Richard Keel wearing his T-shirt. Yeah, he said, "You can count on me waiting for you in the parking lot." Yeah, oh, you can count. That's great. And he's wearing a shirt that says, "Guns don't kill people, I kill people." And Richard Keel, little side note on him, he got in a car accident in '92. And so when they shot him, he either had to be holding on to something or standing very still, because I get, and this was probably filmed in '94, '95, if it came out in '96. And for years after that, he had a balance issue, sustained like an actual bad head injury. And so that's why when you see him, like, he's barely moving when he's supposedly chasing him down and all that, is because he was still getting over that. But yeah, that's oh great, you can count. And it's like, Shooter gets his par. Happy that it's wonderful, looks like a domino falling. The scaffolding is turned to like one of those domino falling tricks. Goes in, and then Shooter comes unglued, grabs the gold tour jacket off of Dennis Dugan and takes off with it. And then you hear and he's just, when the putt goes in, he does that wonderful like, "No!" And he's just completely loses it, starts running away. And they have, God, what was his name? Did I write it down? Mr. Larson, I think it was. And Mr. Larson chases him down. And the best is you just hear him getting the crap beat out of him. You hear the punches just, it sounds like Rocky hitting the raw meat. And bam, bam, and then you hear him, like screaming, and then you hear Mr. Larson come back with "Stay still." I don't know why. "Stay still" does it for me as well. But those are my 9 scenes. And the one I picked, it had to be the Bob Barker scene. There's more trivia about that when I'll jump into what's left of the trivia. I haven't already popped out there yet, but that's just the best scene in the movie. That's the thing that just took it next level. You have all the silly comedy going, and then you have Bob Barker in a fight with Happy Gilmore, and I could just, and Bob Barker seems like Bob Barker right up to the point where the punches start flying. He's being really nice. God, I actually won this with Nick Faldo last year. Let's play some golf, Happy. And he's trying to be so nice at first, and then he just starts kind of bitching under his breath a little at him. It's like, I've never seen it. Maybe it's not that under his breath. I've never seen anybody this bad, just needling him until Happy starts swinging. But that's it. But that's my favorite scene out of the favorite multiple scenes I picked. Let's hit the comments again. See what we got going. Okay, Fred Sacco, 1980 for Caddyshack. You know what? I think you're right. I think you're right on that, because I think I might have been dragged to the theater for that one. Let's see. What do we got? Oh yeah, a veritable montage mahal. You're not kidding. Until I started watching it, I did not realize just how montage loaded it was, and I'm glad for it. I really am. Let's see. Oh, I'm still scarred from Shooter tongue kissing Happy's granny. Well, you know what? Maybe that's why they took the Julie Bowen makeout scene out of there. Because they already had a disgusting makeout scene and didn't want to go back to the well, and I'm only half kidding when I say that. That might have done it. Fred Sacco says Frost at 315. That may be, and I don't know, but I think some of the worst Frost teams would have beat the brakes off of the best Riley teams. That was just, especially the third year. Third year Frost versus third year Riley, and third year Frost and beyond versus third year Riley is just running those teams off the field, because that's when the one loss stuff started, was the one score loss stuff started with Frost. Whereas when Riley played, and I actually did an article on it once on how Riley played 3 incredibly weak schedules, and then Frost, then it flipped, because it always goes from kind of the weak to the strong scheduling. And then Frost, when he came in, caught the strong scheduling. So I would, betting man, I would be doing that. Good one here from James Boardman. Oh shit, you talked about Jaws 50th earlier, and Richard Kiel was Jaws in the Bond movies, 100%. If I was high tonight, my mind would have been blown. Hey, speaking of this, and it's not a drink, and I'm not getting high, but need to wet the throat a little. Hold on just a moment with... You know what? Shane Miley's not on here with me. The shameless Propel begging plugs just always set her off. Dad, you're not getting a Propel contract. Deal with it. Oh, I'm dealing. All right, but yeah, Jaws 50th. Yeah, Richard Kiel and Bond, because he was in there a few times. I think before, because I just remember him. What was this? He was in. Was it Moonraker? Was that the Bond space one? And he was in that, but I think he'd been in one of the older, like one of the Connery ones too. That one of you guys probably knows that better than me, so jump right in if you want. Tell you what, I brought it up, so I'm going to slide it in here before we find some lines. And this is here's some of the casting craziness. Was it for Virginia? Julie Bowen's part. Supposedly Lori Loughlin auditioned for it, and Brooke Shields was considered for it before Bowen. For Mr. Larson, this is quite the here's who else applied, and the surprise, or who else was considered, and the surprise level will be 0. Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, Kevin Nash, and Lou Ferrigno. I think they made the right choice. He just looked terribly scary, especially with a nail sticking out of his head. Otto the caddy. Supposedly Chris Farley wanted to do it, but he was already tied up with Black Sheep. And then Sandler went to Steve Buscemi, who was filming Fargo, and therefore couldn't. So then he got one of his buddies. Okay, let's see. Oh, Chubbs. Ardley Ermey was considered. Wild. That's wild to me, and I could see that working out. Yeah, it's obviously not going to be played the same way. But an Arlie Ermey in kind of drill sergeant coach, golf coach form, I think that could have been pretty interesting. And then Christopher McDonald, the Shooter McGavin. I mean, and I left some names off here, but or no, one more. Donald the Heckler, the Joe Flaherty role, was written for Gilbert Gottfried, but for whatever reason he couldn't do it. And man, I mean, hey, you jackass! I mean, that's iconic. But my God, can you picture being heckled by Gilbert Gottfried calling you a jackass? And if you know Gilbert, he's going to probably throw in a little. He's going to throw in a little on the spot stuff there. You know, he's going to improvise, and some stuff's going to stay in. So I would have loved it. I can't lie. I would have loved to have seen Gilbert Gottfried as the heckler. That guy was just one of my favorite comics of all time. But here's the guys who auditioned for Shooter. Audition, considered, whatever. Daniel Stern, Kelsey Grammer, Steve Guttenberg, Kevin Costner, I guess, was offered the role, and this is coming out like a year after Tin Cup, and he straight turned it down. Shocker. Tim Allen, Ted Danson, and then my favorite consideration of all is right here, Bruce Campbell. I think Bruce Campbell. I'm not going to say it better. The role of Shooter McGavin could not have been played any better than Christopher McDonald played it. I think I made that clear when I said he's just one of the top movie villains of all time. If it was Bruce Campbell, for those of you who don't know Bruce Campbell from the Evil Dead movies, and this was from Army of Darkness, where he's announcing to everybody, "This is my boomstick." Just wonderful, campy, fantastic actor. It may not have been quite as good as Christopher McDonald, but that role would have been in good hands with Bruce Campbell, I think, because I could see Bruce Campbell bringing a lot of the same just facial douchery and just doing it nonstop like McDonald did. So I got to admit that one had me curious. But yeah, that a lot of interesting choices there, and a lot of the names that sound like little big maybe for playing behind Sandler in '96. Like, give it another 5-10 years, then sure, then probably some of them would have been thrilled to. But I thought that was a pretty interesting little casting list. I always like reading about those. I wonder how many of them were truly, turned down, or they turned down the role, or just their agents put it out there and do their best to get it in trivia on IMDb and whatnot. But let's check a couple of our favorite lines here. Here we go. James Boardman back with Richard Keel's Moonraker and Spy Who Loved Me. Okay, very good, very good. Whoops, Fred had to go. Phone's dying like a Satterfield drive. Gotta bounce. Till next time. I'm sure he meant folks, not that. But yeah, good to know. Okay, let's find some lines, and this is where I just flat out, for a while, I started writing these down on my little note sheet. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to scroll down the IMDb quotes list and find a few of these. What when he's doing his go home rant, one of the last things he yells at his golf ball is, "Answer me, suck my white ass ball." I just love the meltdowns. Wonderful stuff. There was the listen to what I say and all that. Not really going to read the Kevin Nealon stuff. It wasn't that funny. The Kevin Nealon stuff was actually, he was just kind of playing that annoying guy. And as I said, like channeling Chevy Chase. Good call. Distance, durability. Yeah, I like this one early on, and they do like the voice narration kind of describing his life. And during high school, I played junior hockey and still hold 2 league records. Most times spent in the penalty box, and I was the only guy to ever take off his skate and try to stab somebody. And he brought up that line again, I think, when he was trying to endear himself to Julie Bowen. I think she had the perfect look on her face for being, told something like that. Yeah, Happy learned how to putt. Uh-oh. Let's see. Oh, and then when he banged the one in after him and Shooter playing together. Oh, did that one go in? I wasn't watching. Did it go in? I didn't see it. Could you tell me? Did it go in? And not so much for the line, but that also just got great Christopher McDonald reaction looks. Let's see. I didn't bring it up as a scene, but it probably should be thrown in there. Is the the mini golf scene where he freaks out. You're gonna die, clown! But one of the little things I saw was that the clown laughter, that was Adam Sandler. He recorded him, so he was the clown laughter too. Let's see. Oh, yeah. When Shooter McGavin first spots Mr. Larson and goes, trying to reach the green from here, Shooter? And Shooter's like, I'm afraid that's impossible. And he's like, I beg to differ. Happy Gilmore accomplished that feat no more than an hour ago. And he turns around and goes, well, moron, good for Happy Gil. Oh, my God! When he spots him, which is pretty good. Let's see. Oh, and then a good Lee Trevino's, I think this might have been about his only line, but when she's stopping Happy from, cutting up Shooter, and she's like, hey, you want to beat him on the course? And Happy's like, that's right, I'm going to beat your ass on the course. And Shooter went, yeah, right, and Grizzly Adams had a beard. And Lee Trevino goes, Grizzly Adams did have a beard. So, Lee Trevino, way to nail the line, my man. Hey, my girlfriend is dead. She fell off a cliff and died on impact. Let's see. Bob Barker. Yeah, there you go. Terry's like, all you had his girlfriend when he was doing the, oh, fine, get out of here. Who needs you? I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean it. But she's like, all you ever talk about is becoming a pro hockey player, but there's a problem. You're not any good. I am good. You know what? You're a lousy kindergarten teacher. I've seen those finger paintings you bring home, and they suck. I'm sorry, baby. That was good. Choo-choo-choo. Oh, yeah. When Chubbs told him the story about, played in a tournament in Florida, hooked my ball in the lake, damned alligator, popped up, cut me down in my prime. He got me, but I tore out one of that bastard's eyes, though. Look at that. And shows him the small glass jar with an eyeball in it. And Happy just goes, you're pretty sick, Chubbs. So basically the two of them just make each other sick. I think that's my best ones. You guys say, remember any others, go in there. I don't want to try and read the whole list. I tried to hit on some of the ones that did it for me, though. So real quick before we get to the trivia, let's go ahead and rate the movie on some of my favorite categories. So let me get my assets back up here. And first one we got is sports quality, the quality of the sports. You're not going to find because Adam Sandler's doing what he's doing with the. You know what though? I've done it before. I've done it twice, and I'm never gonna. There's two things I'm never gonna do again that I've done twice and did them successfully. I connected solidly on both times I've done the Happy Gilmore the little Happy Gilmore running swing, and you got to make the noises. And boom, both times. One of them sliced pretty good, but it got out there. It wasn't just like, turned and went farther right than it went down the fairway. And one did end up in the fairway. And the other thing is, at hockey, I was good at, let's say, face-offs, and I was bad at everything else. But twice we found ourselves in shootouts, and no one could get ahead, and we're doing the sudden death, and it stays tight. And both times it got down to the bottom of the roster, where I languished on the stumbler into the roster at hockey. But I made both my penalty shots I ever took. So if I ever find myself in adult hockey again, and there's a shootout going, I'm just running for the locker room because I'm retiring with a 1,000 percentage in penalty shots. But getting back to sports quality, because of that, yeah, you're not getting a 5. Chris McDonald doesn't have a bad looking stroke, and so I'm going to go ahead and put Bo up there. I'm going to give that a 3 out of 5. It's not awful. Now, that's the golf playing of it. If you actually go and look at where they're playing, then we're dropping that down to a Frankie, down to a 2, because some of those courts, there's one where they're supposedly playing a pro golf tournament, and they're teeing off like with the driving range net behind them wherever they are. And also, do these courses not have fairways? Because when he's hitting his long shot balls, they're going over trees, they're going over lakes. There's not a fairway in sight on these things. So, yeah, I know I'm nitpicking, but just something I noticed. So I drop it down to 2 if we include all that, but 3 for the actual golf playing. Adrenaline, it's not that kind of sports movie, guys. I mean, it's nice, but we all know in a comedy it's not going to take the Rocky turn and have him lose at the end. So yeah, that's definitely the Riley. But then we gave it the 5 for montages. So the last category I have is there's not really an Oscar reboot isn't really a discussion here. You get some movies where I feel like they just got left off because they were sports movies, stuff like Friday Night Lights. And so yeah, no Oscar reboot here. No danger of that. But for rewatchability, I'm again going to Osborne. That is just a movie where if it's on, and not that we're really watching a lot of stuff on as much stuff on TNT or the actual cable channels as we move to streaming. So you don't jump in the middle anymore. But I think a rewatchability is not only do you pull it out again every so often, if you run into it and you're in the middle of it, there's almost nowhere you can jump in and not be ready to go. Maybe when he takes her to the rink, on the Zamboni during Endless Love or whatever. I could have done without that. But you know what? At an hour and a half, though, it never felt like, hey, this is getting over long or anything. So that's not a quibble. That's just it. For me, wasn't quite as hilarious. There was some fun stuff in there, but I didn't need that scene as much. But so yeah, that's where we are on the rankings on my categories, shall we say? Maybe I'll try and get a fun category graphic to pump it up a little. But anyway, let's go to the trivia, and then we'll get into the comments and see how long you guys want to go. Okay, let's see. I said everything about Bob Barker, no stunt double, agreeing to do the movie. Christopher McDonald originally turned down the part. He didn't want it, and then he agreed to meet with Sandler. And after meeting with Sandler and discussing the role, he took it, and he calls it one of the best career decisions he ever made. He's very proud of his shooter role, and he should be. Christopher McDonald, if you're one of the dozens and dozens of the Rocks fans watching this, we love you, buddy. Vern Lundquist, he was the golf announcer, played himself. He says that he still gets a $34 monthly check for $34 from the Screen Actors Guild for portraying himself in Happy Gilmore. So, there you go. Royalties, baby. All of you, I'm sure, know who Judd Apatow is. And if you don't, a quick Google will remind you of stuff he's written. He actually did a rewrite of the script on this and was uncredited. And so you can probably look back on some lines and go, that got a little Judd Apatow to it. They mentioned Terry Riley in the opening of the movie. He played for the Boston Bruins and in the 70s, like 60s and 70s, and was known for, like many other Bruins and say Philadelphia Flyers and whoever was good with his fists. But he mentions how Terry Riley was their favorite player. Terry Riley was, I think, the first one. I can't remember, were they playing in the Rangers, maybe, and the Bruins were in New York. I cannot remember where they were. They were on the road. The fans started like heckling and throwing stuff at the coach, and led by, I believe it was Terry Riley, O'Reilly jumped into the stands and went after the fans and like had in their skates. I imagine that was like quite a bit of sharpening, after they were ejected or whatever. But yeah, we were like teeing off on some of the fans, and so good call to bring Terry O'Reilly out there. And guess what? Remember that? I don't know are the MTV Movie Awards still a thing? Do those still go on at all? I just haven't watched MTV in years. Although I knew time was going by when I realized that the Real World second season, where they were at the beach, had the one gal that married the NBA All-Pro Kenny Anderson, had the cowboy kid that just sat around watching TV and eating. But I just remember it was a beach. That was 1993, man. Holy God, time flies. But they were the winner of the first Best Fight MTV Movie Award, and I believe both Sandler and Barker showed up there to accept it. We're very, very proud of their fight. And then told you about Julie Bowen's cutscene. Let's see. Oh God. Okay. Here's a Julie Bowen story y'all can get behind. She comes in for audition, and she leaves, and she said, wouldn't give the name, but here's another, like, fairly famous actress coming out and laughing, and then she goes in and said, the guys in the room, like Sandler, Dugan, who are doing the casting, looking a little like shook or kind of out of it. And apparently she, Sharon Stoned him, did the Basic Instinct, did the leg cross and wasn't wearing panties, and just kind of wanted to do it for a little shock value. So, it must not have worked because Julie Bowen got the part, and I don't believe she Sharon Stoned him. And if she did, she kept that to herself. Let's see. Oh, Christopher McDonald apparently kept auditioning or trying to get roles in other Adam Sandler movies, and would get turned down again and again. And said Adam Sandler always told him never changed it. Just said, dude, you're always going to be Shooter. So I guess the downside is Shooter. Chris McDonald never hurt for work. Hockey fans, and the tryout scene at the beginning there, one of the guys in that tryout is Joe Sakic, Hall of Famer for the Nordiques / Colorado Avalanche. So, and I think I saw him in there once. That rang a bell. And then what was kind of wild was you had a big boost in golf viewership in '96 for two reasons. One, Happy Gilmore comes out. People wouldn't be watching a golf movie or watching for Sandler. Two, guess who hit the tour in '96 and hit the tour on fire? Tiger Woods. So you have Happy Gilmore and Tiger Woods both kind of blowing it up. They cut 30 minutes. This was a 2-hour movie, and they cut a half hour from it. And that half hour that got cut was what kept it PG-13 and not R. So I read that, and oh my God, where the hell can I watch the director's cut with all the R-rated director's cut or the unrated director's cut, man? Now I want to see that, because some of the stuff that stayed in there, it was, I guess that was a little on edge to be PG-13. They bleeped at just the right time, maybe. Chris McDonald, 2017 or 18, got a DUI. I can't remember. It was at some lake resort, and I think he ran into a parking meter or something. Shades of The Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds. But anyway, apparently he was in a pretty happy mood, no pun intended, and pulled the old, hey, but I was in Happy Gilmore, and the cops weren't impressed. Let him sleep it off and let him go without bail the next day. Let's see. Did that. Oh, and for those of you that wanted to see a little more Chubbs, he actually, I don't remember this. I don't know that I ever got through Little Nicky. Little Nicky, that's one of my favorite Sandler movies. But Chubbs made a cameo in Little Nicky as Chubbs, and greeting someone in the afterlife. So he was afterlife Chubbs, and yeah. And we already saw he was in the afterlife, and the happy place. He's like, hey, it's okay, man. Don't be sad for me. Hey, got my hand back. and then here's one. No, I think I talked about that. Ben Stiller going out the window. So, yeah, I didn't know I always thought that was just in there, but I didn't see it in the theater. I don't think I caught it till it came out on cable. So that's what I got. So let's see where we're at in the comments. Are we rolling here at all? Yes. Well, yeah, zero for the golf. They abandoned all rules. That's a good point. But I'm also just looking at like the playing ability. Yeah, now that the weird courses, and then the fact that the rules are just pure silliness. Maybe we just got to knock that down to a one as well. But was anybody really watching Happy Gilmore for the golf? I'm going to go out on a limb and say no. Let's see. What did James say? If I had cable, I would stop and watch it. If I was scrolling, I stream now, so I search for it today. Right? Yeah. I don't have cable anymore. I'm just on. I got several streaming services. Share a few with family, and we survive just fine. And the only thing that made me want to keep, cable or whatever was sports. But now damn near all the sports are showing up. I got you got the ESPN Plus, which if it's on ESPN, most of that stuff is also on ESPN Plus, and that all wraps up into the Disney package now with Hulu and Disney Plus. So I'm not really missing much there. And it's probably most big games. If I'm not working them now, hey, the new part of life, then I'm probably watching them, watching them in the bar or whatever, the people I enjoy being with, and that is what it is. What do we say here? When Happy was signing the younger woman's chest, they shot a topless version and a TV version with the bra. Yeah, they chose the TV version for the movie. Yeah, that was probably one of those things that, hey, PG-13. But for those of you who ever did what I did, and when the children, how old were the children? It's like the children now are, 20, 20, is he really? God, 29? No, he's not 29. 97. Yeah, 29 and I guess 27. And one of them who you see on here is engaged now. But I think when they were about maybe 8 and 10, 9 and 11, somewhere in there, I thought Airplane. I'll show them Airplane. What a wonderfully goofy movie. And I don't really regret it. I just remember when you have the haywire scene when we're all going to die and they're running around, and all of a sudden just a gal just goes bouncing by with the shirt off across the street, and the kids, especially the son, hey, like, well, let's just pretend it's not a big deal and move on with our lives, and that's what we did. But hey, that's all I got tonight. Hopefully we'll build it up here. I kind of got going. I wanted to get going, and I wanted to put something last week to throw the warning out, say, hey, here's what's next week. Let me see if you want to be patient with me one moment, and I've got my Excel on the phone. I will let you know what I have. Okay, hold on here. Oh, yes. Do. Okay. Open up. Okay, I don't have my password. It just comes up on my iPad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out. I've got the rest of the summer all planned out. I just want to find the right order for it. Go to the Twitter account, just Corn Nation on Twitter, and I will get it up there by tomorrow morning. I might even get it done tonight here in a little bit. But that's where to look for the assignment for next week, and maybe I'll just throw up a little reminder on the website as well. But if you want to start worrying about it, I'll have it up by tomorrow morning, say 9 or 10 a.m., and we can roll from there. And that way we'll have our homework ready. Remember to get Tubi just in case. Like I said, it's free, so yeah, don't cost nothing. They don't grab a credit card or there's nothing shady. I've had it for a while and enjoying it, but it is where you'll find the sports movies you can't really seem to find, even the ones that aren't on my list. There's a bunch there that fall into the category of, so that's where I can watch this. So let's see. Oh, how did I explain the automatic pilot? I didn't. If they knew it, they knew it. And if they didn't, that wasn't going to be a teachable moment. So I'm sorry if I disappoint you there, but as far as they knew, man, that was just an inflating thing. Julie Haggerty, she did her job, man. She said she saved them all by inflating the automatic pilot. Damn you, Boardman. All right, so that is it for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, we'll get next week's on Twitter tomorrow. Maybe get something posted there. But if you're desperate, that'll be on Twitter, and then you can just go on anytime and scroll back, I guess. And looking forward to a fun summer of this. I really forgot how much fun that I had that it sounds like we had with it last summer. So we'll be doing this into same thing like mid-late August again. And there's gonna be one night that's gonna be tough for me, I think, because I'm going to Big Ten football media days again. This will actually, I think, be my third time, and this year they moved it. I mean, I don't know the joy you feel when you get an email like this with the details. And no offense, Indianapolis, but they've moved it from Indianapolis to Mandalay Bay in Vegas. So the heart of Big Ten country. I can't wait to go there. But Nebraska's day is on a Tuesday, and that's a lot of writing and a lot of stuff. So I'll try and squeeze it in. I mean, I'm going to have to make sure I research the movie before I go, because obviously there's no way I can do it that day. So it will require something that's tough for me planning ahead. But we'll try to get that in, and from a hotel room in Mandalay Bay, and also still got to go grab a flight. But anyway, that's it. Thanks everybody. Good seeing some of the regulars again. Anybody else who wasn't, jump in, comment, have some fun. If nothing else, I love it when people just come in, give me a go big red. What do they say in the one movie? Let them know you're there. Slap shot. Bleed all over them. Let them know you're there. But yeah, give us a go big red. Let us know you're there, and we'll see you next Tuesday, same time. This season it'll be like last year. We'll go straight from the sports movie pod, and then the week before, the Tuesday before the first game, the Cincinnati game, which hopefully I'm going to be getting in the Arrowhead press box for that one. But the Tuesday before that's when it'll flip to Husker Happy Hour, where we're just going to be talking football every Tuesday night with your favorite drink or other chemical pollutant of your choice. Not that I encourage it, but it does make for some funny comments. Everybody have a fun week. Have a good week. Oh, even James Mortimer gives us have a good week. And if I can get it up there. And so, have a good week, and we'll be ready for you guys next Tuesday. Thanks for watching. You guys are appreciated. And as always, go Big Red. Good night, everybody. Love you guys.